New polling averages compiled by The Hill and Decision Desk HQ setting off new alarms, showing President Biden and former President Trump neck and neck, tied at about 45%. Now, let's break down the numbers further. We're going to talk to Scott Tranter now, Director of Data Science at Decision Desk HQ. Scott, thank you so much for being with us today. Always appreciate it. Good to get your perspective. Yeah, those numbers, must be concerning for President Biden. So what do you think this all means for his campaign at this point?
At this point, look, he's the incumbent president. He's got significantly more cash than Donald Trump. And he beat him last time in 2020. So, yeah, this is not a good position. If the election were held today, I'm not sure he'd be the favorite. Lucky for him, the election's 6 months away. But this close, this far out is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, and we keep looking at some poll numbers, and according to polling by the New York Times and Siena College, Trump is leading Biden in 5 battleground states we mentioned at the top: Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, while Biden is ahead in Wisconsin. So as we look at these numbers, what does Biden need to do to turn those stats around? That's a lot.
Well, if you're Joe Biden, you really are worried about the Wisconsin one, because his path to victory is Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. And even the Michigan one shouldn't necessarily be on the table, because that is a state Democrats have won at the presidential level pretty much for the last 20 years. So this is something that he's really got to worry about. And again, he's won these states before. So the fact that he's down, especially in that gold standard New York Times poll, is concerning for him.
Right. And as we look at another section of the New York Times poll, we've been talking about this one a lot. We see that more than 20% of Black voters support Trump, and that is an increase from 2020. So as we pull back, how do you think that President Biden can win back some of these voters? Obviously, he's on the trail this weekend. He's working on that right now, as we know. But what does he need to do once he gets out there?
He needs to talk about the economy. And we've seen this with the polls we've done with NewsNation. Is the number one issue is the economy, specifically as it relates to inflation, and how that translates to African-American voters is how much stuff costs when they go to the grocery store, how much stuff costs when they go to the gas station or travel, and those types of things, because that is what people feel and hear every day. Mm-hmm. And that's really what Joe Biden needs to lean into if he's going to win some of these voters back.
Right. Need to crank up the volume on that. And finally, let's get your take on the independent candidate, RFK Jr. So as we take a look where he's at, where do you see most of the support coming from? Because a lot of people are looking at him from coast to coast, looking at some of the traction that he's gaining. So where will it be to get enough to get him to that next phase of this cycle?
So this is something we're going to be talking about a lot over the next 5 or 6 months, because we haven't had a real third-party candidate who gets significant amount of vote since probably Ross Perot in the early 90s. Now, let me point this out. He is not on the ballot in enough states where he can win the presidency. That doesn't mean he's not going to be able to play a spoiler. As you noted earlier, he's on the ballot in Michigan, which is a battleground state. His primary support right now is voters who are dissatisfied with both Trump and Biden, and they're just like, who else can I vote for? History shows that oftentimes those voters do tend to go home either to the Republican or Democratic side where they were originally. But right now, if he makes it on the ballot in places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, he could play spoiler.
Scott, is there anything else that stands out to you in these polls that we've been talking about and things that you've been looking at? I know that this is your expertise. So what stands out?
So it's consistency, and consistency about economy and the inflation. We've been doing polling with NewsNation since 2021 now, and the number one issue since way back then has always been the economy, and specifically inflation. So, all this stuff about what's going on in the Middle East, or what's going on with Russia and China, or what's going on with abortion and things like that. I'm not saying they're not top issues, but the number one issue, and all other polls see this, is the economy. So this shouldn't be surprising to anybody. And anyone who's surprised about the economy deciding the election this fall just hasn't been paying attention.
Right. And voter feedback, of course, is so important. I know that you talk to a lot of people. What is kind of one of the main concerns other than the economy that you're hearing?
After that, immigration has moved up. It's a top 3 issue. Women's reproductive rights, and we're going to see that on the ballot, specifically among Democratic and independent voters, not just women, but people looking for families in the suburbs. It's a little bit of an interesting niche issue, but that is where the swing is, the suburbs outside of Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Detroit. So yeah, those are the real issues right there. We'll see if some of those stay top 3 come this fall. especially immigration, considering that has primarily been a southern state issue. We see it play up in New York and some of the northern states too. So we'll see where it ends up. But by and large, it's the economy.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.